All right. So we've got some kind of support system, you know, bolster, blankets, blocks, maybe a foam roller. If you have a wall or a chair or an ottoman, we might do a legs up pose at some point. So if you don't have anything like that really close by, you can probably make do with blocks or something underneath your bum. So then let's get started. This is Rest and Restore Happier Hour. Let's come on down to our backs and we'll slide a blanket, a rolled up blanket, just underneath our thighs. Maybe the upper portion of your thighs, maybe it behind your knees, what feels best. And then we could do cactus arms, or we could do hands on the trunk. It could be resting our arms beside us. If you're choosing hands on the trunk, play around with the positioning and see what works best for you to feel the breathing expansion. If you feel like dropping your eyes closed, that could be good. And then let's try to smooth out any holding or tension around the eyes, the cheekbones, temples, forehead and jaw. Letting your day slip away for now. You can creep your shoulder blades down underneath you a little bit more so you can sense a little more space around your neck. And we're going to keep the legs satisfied however they want to be. And we're going to move into a little arm and breath flow. So arms are going to start down by the shoulders, just straight out. So your arms are making a T shape. And you can keep a soft bend in your elbows as you reach your arms straight up over your chest as you inhale, like you're holding a big beach ball right over the top of your torso. And you're not going overhead, but you're going over the chest. And then as you exhale, let your arms float really slowly back to the ground. Slow inhale breath, sweep your arms right over the sternum. Exhale, let your arms lay back down to the earth. You're going to keep your own rhythm here. And one thing I find really intriguing about this is if you close your eyes and you can't see your arms, that can heighten your sense of where you are in space, your proprioception. But it's also kind of cool to see which arm tends to meet the ground first. And if you feel like the breathing is reversed and you would be more comfortable to exhale as the arms go overhead and inhale to float them down, you can mix that up too. But do try to keep them somewhat synchronized with the movement. Let's do 3 more like this. And then just lay the arms back down out by your sides, or again, straight out in that T shape if you like that better. I'm just going to work into some isometrics here on the back side. So all we're going to do is alternate by squeezing one side of the glutes. Just hold for like 1 or 2 counts and then relax and move on to the other side. You can feel that subtle lift and shift as that one side squeezes, that side of the pelvis will lift and pivot just ever so slightly. One more time each way. And then relax off all of that. We're going to bring the feet about hips width if they aren't already. Bend your knees just a touch. And then let's set the heels on the ground. Toes can lift off the ground. And again, with the isometrics, we're going to think of pushing the heels down into the earth, but also imagining that we're going to slide our heels towards our body. And we'll just keep our legs in this position and try to find a nice even breath. Seeking out the 360 degrees expansion, front, back, and sides. Two more breaths. And then let that go. Reach your legs back all the way to the ground, nice and straight. You still might have that blanket underneath you, and that's totally fine. As you inhale, draw your toes back towards your shin bones. As you exhale, point your toes away from you. Simple. Let's do that a few times. Inhale, dorsiflexion. Exhale, plantar flexion. Feeling into the front and the back of the ankle with these movements. And letting our breathing determine the pace. And then we're going to pause again. Interlace your fingers to the webbing. We'll begin with the palms facing our body. And then you're just going to flip. Take the palms towards your ceiling and work on straightening your arms as much as they want to. And then point your toes. Start to stretch your arms a little bit further over your head. And potentially you could go all the way over your head if there's space in your shoulders for that right now. And then you're just going to grow a sliver taller through the spine. Take 2 breaths. All right, let's bend the knees now. Set your feet about hip width or maybe a little wider. And we're going to drape the arms across the chest. And then let the knees turn in towards each other. Constructive rest with a little bit of different variation in the shoulders. It's almost like you were going to go to eagle pose and then you decided that was too much work. So you just laid your arms and let them relax. You might be able to feel your arms rising and falling with your breathing. There's bound to be some chest expansion. But as always, we're trying to breathe a little bit lower and a little bit wider. So notice which arm is on the bottom in this little stacked position with the arms. And you're going to turn your head into the opposite direction. So if your right arm is kind of underneath the left, then turn your chin towards your left shoulder. You're going to keep this general position, but you're going to start to press your arms a little bit more firmly downward into your torso. So now there's just a little bit of engagement here. And it's almost like you're trying to stretch the skin on your collarbones downward. So you're just using your arms to do that pressure. Unravel that neck twist. Open your arms off to the side, cactus position. And then again, just drape your arms over your chest area. Let's put the other arm underneath now, or below, I should say. First, we'll keep the head on straight and just relax the arms, letting them dangle. And then let's find that engagement, pressing the arms down, sliding the shoulder blades down, and then you can turn your head the other way. Just a really mild rotation in the neck, so we don't have to overdo that. Relax your head back to neutral. Take your arms off to the sides. And then I'm going to give you some choices for this next bit, because there's lots of ways we can do this. The first one would be without any props. You would just interlace your hands behind your head, let your thumbs travel down the little crook in your neck, and just lift your head off the ground. And maybe give yourself a little traction, as if you're trying to stretch your neck a little longer. The second choice, you could use a yoga block or a foam roller. And if you're using a block, you could potentially set that block on an angle so that the edge of the block snuggles right underneath the ledge of your skull. Otherwise, we can try to put that foam roller at the back of the head. Not necessarily in the neck, but in the skull. So you're actually in a little bit of neck flexion, stretching along that back side. And then you can decide how you want your arms. Just a handful of breaths here. You can play around with turning your head slightly to each direction. Keeping that range of motion very conservative. Okay. Set that prop off to the side if you were using one. Lay your head back down. And for our banana shape, you may or may not want that support under your legs. I think I'm actually going to slide mine up a little bit so it's underneath my pelvis. And you can either keep your legs neutral in this position as you arc your spine into a side bend to the right, or you can add in the legs moving also to the right. So we're trying to get into a little bit of lengthening throughout this whole left side. Arms can be straight out to a T. You can gently reach that left arm around your head and hold onto it with your right hand. Let's try to find a position that feels pretty effortless and comfortable without a lot of effort to maintain it. And close or cover your eyes and just be here now. Make sure your neck is happy. You can turn it either direction or just keep it on straight. As we lengthen this left side, can you bring your breath attention there? In the armpit, in the left rib cage, the left side of your waist, and all the way down to the left hip crease. As we prepare to leave this shape, we'll go slow. And if your legs are in the position, let's go ahead and bring the legs back to a more neutral shape, maybe even bending your knees again. And then you can just glide your upper torso back down the center of your mat. Reach your arms back down beside you, potentially. If you feel like you would benefit from another movement, little twists, windshield wipers, anything goes. And then let's set up that second side. Now getting longer into the right side. So the trunk is going to arc up and over to the left. And the legs can stay, or they can also slide over towards the left side of your mat. And then choose a comfy spot for your head and your arms. More ease, less effort. Continuing with the stillness, just observe those soft waves of your breathing, really slow to rise to its peak. And just as slow, if not slower, to find that valley. A little pause in the valley if you can. Okay, we're going to start to release ourselves from the banana. Moving like a sloth, real slow. Reset your legs. Take your spine back down to neutral. Maybe the shoulders need to snuggle back down again. And then if you have that blanket underneath your body, you can set that aside for a moment here. And we're going to work through a happy baby variation. So the first choice would be to bend the knees, take them a little wider, and just simply hold on to the front of the knees or even the backs of the thighs. So I would say this is kind of a more relaxed version of the happy baby. And with that one, you could be still or you could rock a little bit side to side, either through the hips or the spine or a little bit of both. For a little bit more sensation, we'll open the knees to about 90 degrees. Reach the hands to the outside edges of the feet, and then real gently, so we're not forcing this, we're just really gently drawing the knees towards the outside edge of your ribs, but don't force your back completely flat. If it wants to round a little bit back there, let it. That means your tailbone might lift too. It's totally fine. And then same idea here. You could be still, or you could create some little rocks. Now, if you like the rocks, if you tip to the right, try to straighten out that right leg a little bit more. And then you can slowly rebound back to the center, bend both knees. And then you can play with opening the left leg as you tip over to your left side. I like to go super slow and pay close attention to the rolling points of contact in my low back, mid back, upper back, shoulders, and even the back of my skull. You could definitely choose a different tempo tonight. I feel like the only speed I'm capable of is like the slowest turtle moving through peanut butter. I'm going to take one more pass each direction. You are free to do less or more than that. And then we're going to treat ourselves to an inversion. So this is where you could definitely employ your wall and do legs up the wall. Legs up the wall could also be done with a little something underneath your sacrum. Legs up could be done without a wall and just lifting your hips up on that yoga block. And if you just had a chair or an ottoman, you could just set your lower legs up on that chair or ottoman just to get a little bit of lift the feet above the heart. I'm going to go ahead and spin myself up next to my wall and use that wall for support. And we are going to be here for just a little bit longer than everything else we've done tonight. So get comfy, and we'll set our timer for 5 minutes. If you're new to getting up the wall, you're going to scoot one of your hips right up next to it, as close as you can get, so that your flesh is touching. And then start to send the legs up, come down to your elbows. So maybe inch a little closer, like a little inchworm. And then you can lay down. Assess head, neck, and shoulders. Are we good? And then try to drop in. I should have mentioned that if you had a sandbag, it's not something I've worked with because I don't have one myself, but it might be something worth investing in. We set the sandbag on the feet in this inversion, and it feels really nice to let the legs just kind of fall back and down and ground into the pelvis. So for now, since I don't have that, I'm just going to use my imagination and feel that weight, receiving it without resistance, and allowing your breath now just to find a subtle flow. Soft and simple. for this last minute or so, one option if you're using the wall is to come into either a wall squat, which feels a little bit like that happy baby we were just in, or you can take the butterfly, touching the soles of your feet towards each other, allowing your thighs to open any amount, with or without assistance from your hands. Let's bring in a few more deep and full breaths. This will signal the end of the physical practice as we are going to start to kind of check out for our Yoga Nidra. And for the practice of Yoga Nidra, we'll want a super comfy location with lots of support. And always keep in mind that if you are not ultra comfortable on your back in Shavasana, then it's okay to take the meditation on your side or even on your front. So let us all take about 30 seconds or so to get satisfied with our Yoga Nidra shape. Going to check in all along the back side, from your heels all the way towards the back of your head. And if there's any other adjustments that need to be made, do that now. And then try to commit to some stillness so we can get this body put to sleep as our minds watch and feel and sense. Muscles relaxing, and then even moving outward from there and feeling the skin. Some softness there. Feeling the waves of your breath. And maybe even simplifying that even more so you're not consciously trying to meter your breath or control it or direct it in any way. But do stay curious about it. Pay attention to it. Tune into the sound if there's sound. I'll be guiding you on a journey through your body. Some of us find it helpful to see or sense a glow, a point of light, an orb inside our body as we travel through it, kind of like a little flashlight. Before we proceed with the body mapping, let's consider a sankalpa or a resolve. You could call it an intention. But in this practice, we do try to employ a positive statement of now, a truth. So it's an I am formula rather than an I wish or I hope. What's happening now? What do you need right now? What do you want right now more than anything? And can you put that into a simple phrase? I am. Hear that statement clearly in your own voice inside. Sometimes I even like to see it in my own handwriting. On a plain white piece of paper. Reciting it or writing it a handful of times, planting that seed. And then we come back to the body. Bring attention to the space right in the middle of your forehead. The place where you formulated that intention. And go deeper there. Let it burrow inside. And move your awareness down to your throat. And travel along the right collarbone to your right shoulder. Sense your right elbow, your right wrist, the tip of your right thumb, index fingertip, middle fingertip, ring fingertip, pinky fingertip on your right hand, sense your right hand as a whole, the fingers, space between, the palm, and the back side of your right hand. Sense your wrist, elbow, right shoulder, and centering your attention back at your throat. From your throat, travel along your left collarbone towards your shoulder. Left shoulder to left elbow. Left wrist. Left thumb tip. Index fingertip. Middle fingertip. Ring fingertip. Pinky fingertip, left hand. And feel the relaxation in your left hand. All 5 fingers. Space between the fingers. Sense the open palm. And the back of your left hand. Left wrist sensation. elbow, left shoulder, the hollow of your throat. Moving downward now, sense the center of your chest, your sternum. Feel the right side of your chest. Now the left side of your chest. Go back to the middle, the heart space. Drop down to your abdomen. Let it go. Feel into the center of your pelvis. Right side of your pelvis. Sensation in the right hip. Notice your right knee, right ankle, first toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe. There's no work for you here, only rest. Sense your right foot, the sole of your foot, and the top of your foot. Being aware of the spaces between your 5 toes. Guide your awareness to your right ankle, knee, right hip, right side pelvis, middle of the pelvis, left side of your pelvis, left hip, left knee, ankle, your first toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe. Notice the 5th toe on your left foot. Sense your left foot as a whole. The sole and the top ridge. Spaces amongst the toes. Left ankle, knee, hip, left side of the pelvis, low middle pelvis, More rest in the belly. Feel the whole frame of your rib cage. Center of the heart. Amplify that light. Sense the radiance of that light inside your heart and expanding outward in all directions. This is your awareness. You can let that light travel wherever you need. Some area of you that might need your extra support or attention. A measure of healing, understanding, or love. Let your awareness drift up now to the throat. Right eye. Left eye. Both eyes together. The center eye. Drop in and be restful. Letting go even a bit more than before. I invite you to receive the following affirmations. Take whatever you need from these and let the rest pass you by. I am enough. I am whole and complete as I am. This is my life right now, and I'm content. I am open and available to evolution and change. I am loved. I am loving. I'm free and clear of all that's happened to me in the past. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to cling to. I am. Bring awareness to the subtle waves and flow of your breath in and out of your body. And if you desire, you can change that to bring about change in your body, should you choose. Minimal effort, maximal attention, connection. And start to create your own unique patterns of movement as a way to come out of the rest. There's never a rush. Keep it simple, keep it slow, keep it kind. Maybe you want to stretch out, perhaps interlacing those fingers again, turning your palms open and reaching overhead, maybe pointing the toes. Or you might like to curl up into the cannonball, rocking the spine right and left, or from bottom to top. And then please use the support of your arms when you do decide to come up and find your seat. Maybe sliding something supportive underneath your bum. You can find a little more support for the spine. And still connecting to ease around neck and shoulders, face. Thank you so much for joining me with this practice. It is my true honor and pleasure to guide you. Namaste.